Hi guys, this is Pearl from Speedwapp, and today I'm super excited to take you through a tutorial on how to design your own about section with Speedwapp. So without wasting much time, let's get started. I want my about section to be divided into two different columns. So what we are going to do is that we are going to look for an element that will enable us divide our about section into two different columns. So first of all, I just click on the component, and this is the first thing I see, okay, this first element right here. So just click on it, and I see something that is suitable to help me design. So I'm going to drag and drop this row. Okay, now the row is already divided into two. Now step number 2 is just to make sure that I want to change the background of this row. So just make sure that the background or the entire row is selected, and click on the style button right here. Now the style property panel opens up for you. Click on the image box and choose the image or the file from wherever it's being saved. All right, then open. So as you can see, the image fills in for you. Now let's move to step number 3. Step number 3 is to input elements into the right column, because I want all readable information to be at the right column. So I'm going to drag and drop elements that will enable me design my right column. So first of all, I'll drag and drop a heading. Secondly, I like to add a paragraph. So let's look for the paragraph template. Drag and drop paragraph. Just make sure you position it beneath the heading. Okay, then the last element I want to add is a button. So drag and drop button right beneath it. Okay, now we have 3 elements inside the right column. Now it's easy for you to align the elements. For you to align the elements, all you have to do is to select the column. After selecting the column, you can just click on any of these alignment buttons. So I want to center it. So, and every element is being centered for me. Now we are going to edit whatever information that is in here. So just click on this information right here, and let's change this to about us. All right. Now we can also edit this information as well. And let's change the button as well. Let's just change this to read. So space, then you can change that to read. So step number 4, okay, I want to just enlarge this whole row so that I can get more space, or I can see whatever I am doing inside my section. So just make sure that the row is selected. Select the entire row. Now you can see this button right here on the screen. Just click on it. Just click on it and press Shift on your keyboard. So Shift on your keyboard and just click and drag down. So as you drag down, it resizes for you. Okay, so that is how to resize your section and your column or the entire row as well. Now let's move on to step number 5. With step number 5, I want to make sure that this image right here, or this background image, fits perfectly inside the section. Okay, and I don't like the way it's looking. So all I have to do is to just make sure that the row is still selected, and just click on the style panel. If your style panel is not open, click on the style panel to open it up, and right beneath this image you can see repeat and size. So under size, click on default. There's a drop down arrow right there. Just click on the drop down arrow and click on cover, and your image is contained inside the section very well for you. Okay, so with step number 6, we are just going to be doing more editing to these elements right here, because these elements are very important to us. So let's do some quick editing to these 3 elements. The first element we want to work on is the about us element. So just select the about us, okay, and we can just change the font color to white. You can just change the font color. Just play with the color wheel to change the font color. And you can also increase the size of the about us because it's too small. So you can increase to whichever size that is okay with you. I am going to increase to 70. Now select the second element as well. I want to maintain the black. Okay, I want to maintain the font color, but I want to increase the font size. Okay, I just want to increase to 20. 20 is okay. Now let's make some changes to our call to action button. The call to action button is one of the very important buttons in the website. So you have to make sure that it is very visible and well designed. Okay, I'm going to also change the font color to white. All right, and I'm going to increase the size as well. So we can increase this to also 20 so that it can be bolder, and we can also make it bold as well. I want to make more changes to this button right here. So just locate, make sure your style property panel is opened, okay? And I'm going to give it a background color. I'm going to give it a different background color, right? I'm going to change the background color to whichever background color I feel is okay with me. Okay, you can just decide to play with the color wheel to give your button a suitable background color, which will make it bolder. Okay, you can, if you are satisfied with whatever you see, you can just exit out of the color wheel. That brings us to step number 7. So with step number 7, I just want to make sure that there are spaces between my elements because they are so close that it doesn't look so professional. So all I have to do is to select the second element, okay? When I select the second element, this means that I want to create space between this first element right here and the second element. Once the second element is selected, locate margin in the style panel and you can just give it an upper margin of whichever number you choose. So I have given it an upper margin of 50 and now there's more space. So select the last element as well and also give it an upper margin if you choose. So select, now there's spaces between my elements, but there's no space at the top. So I want to give space at the top. So this time around, I'm going to select the entire row. Once the entire row is selected, locate padding. Okay, I want to give it a padding. So I'm going to give it an upper padding of 50. Now when I give it an upper padding of 50, you see right here that my text has dropped down. Okay, now there's space at the top, there's space in between all my elements. Okay, now let's preview to see how our work looks like so far. Okay, and this doesn't look so good because the paragraph is being tilted too much to the right, okay, and it doesn't look so professional. Let's move back to our editor to do more changes. We want to make sure that our element or our paragraph is readable when it's exported or even when it's being previewed. So just make sure that the entire row is selected this time around. Now, once the entire row is selected, locate padding, and this time around we are going to give it a right padding. When you give your entire row a right padding, the elements are going to be shifted towards the left hand side. So we'll give it a right padding of 50. Okay, once we give it a right padding of 50, you just saw that the element shifted to the left hand side. Now if you preview again, it's going to look okay. Now you can see that your elements are readable now. So let's move back to the editor and also add some space at the bottom right here. So go back to editor, make sure that the entire row is selected, or select the entire row and locate padding again. Now we are going to give this a padding of 50. Okay, we are going to give it a bottom padding of 50. Now when you give it a bottom padding of 50 and you preview, you realize that there's more space at the bottom, and this looks okay. Okay, this looks good. You can also decide to preview on other devices just to see how whatever you've created is okay with you, and you can go back to your editor again if you want to make more changes to whatever you've created. Right now, if you don't want to use the preview mode and you want to be sure, very sure of how your website is going to look like, you can also click on the file button right here, the drop down arrow, and click on the last item, which is export to web application. Just click on that and it's going to download your website for you. Okay, so our website is being downloaded right here. Now once it's done downloading, just click on it and go to new HTML. Just click on new HTML, and this is exactly how your website looks like, or this is exactly how whatever you've created looks like. If you're satisfied with it, you can just leave it that way and export it or do whatever you want to do with it. Okay people, now that brings us to the end of today's tutorial on how to create an About Us section in Speedwapp. Very simple, and I'm sure you've been able to do something on your own. At this moment, just subscribe to our Speedwapp channel so that anytime we post any content at all, you will get that notification and watch that tutorial. Thank you for sticking with us, and we'll see you in the next tutorial.